On this episode, Sam Mercer, the CEO and founder of Junxion Med Staffing out of Dallas, Texas, stops by. Atlas All Access starts now.
From Kirkin at 0450.
All right, Sam. Welcome, buddy.
Thanks, man.
So I guess I'll give a little background, maybe from my side, is how we met and everything, and then I'll have you do the same. So
Sure.
I met you at a super interesting point, at least in my career. I was making that transition here at Atlas from every day on the phones with hospitals to more kind of day-to-day stuff with Steve and I running the business. I mean, we were just client managers for the longest time, right, working with hospitals. And I happened to have read the book Quench Your Own Thirst by Jim Cook, the founder of Sam Adams. And the part that kind of stuck with me, and that was when I had that conversation with Sherry that first night when I met you, was the brewing the American dream. Like early on, he realized that it's not us against us, right? It's not the little guys against the little guys. It's the little guys trying to get market share from the big guys,
Absolutely.
Right? It's him against Coors and Budweiser and Miller. And it wasn't him against the guy down the street. So once he found success, he put a little bit into that brewing the American dream. And if it's just, at first it was just knowledge and information, like how do you start those banking relationships, or where do you buy hops from, or whatever. So and then obviously I, having just read that book, met you through Sherry, and you have a unique perspective that I don't have. You did it, right?
Yeah.
You were a traveler, and now a year later, you're knee deep into a company, right?
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Yeah, it's been really interesting. Like you said, I was a traveler for a while, and we're actually just right at a year. We've been a company for almost 2, but we've really been staffing for about a year. And getting to meet you was amazing. I really enjoyed it, and you've really poured into me, and I really, really appreciate that. We're still pounding the pavement, pounding the phone, smile and dial.
Yeah.
And just really all about serving our travelers and helping them navigate their daily lives while they're on the road.
Why did you want to? So you traveled for what, 2 years? Is that
Almost
right?
2 years, yeah.
So what made you want to start a company versus still traveling?
Yeah, one of the things is I met my wife while I was in surgery. She's a PA in neurosurgery, and we had a trauma together. We got married pretty quick. And so I was just like, I'm going to take a step back from traveling and grow this relationship. We ended up getting married. And so at that point, we moved to Dallas. And I was like, I think I'm going to start a staffing company, especially with all the problems that I've seen in the marketplace. And it was something I knew I couldn't solve today or tomorrow. But once we get large enough, I feel like we can start solving some problems that other staffing companies are having, or other travelers are having, excuse me.
Right.
And that's just being transparent, and really, our travelers are number one person in our company, and we're there. One of the things that you guys say inside your company is do the right thing. We do the same thing, and I love that you say that. And one I've tacked on is to serve well, because we want to serve them well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that's just how things have changed over the years, right? It's not, it isn't us against, it's not me against you, right?
No.
I don't gain anything from taking travelers from you. You don't gain anything from taking travelers from us, right?
Absolutely.
When the largest company in our industry only holds like 20%,
Yep.
there's market share for both of us, right?
Absolutely.
And the guy down the street, and the guy that's just starting, right? And so there's enough for all of us to go around. There's a bigger target. There's a bigger goal in mind. Take some of that market share away from those companies that don't necessarily believe in the same things we do, right?
Absolutely.
Who are still stuck in the old ways. You're a number, you're a 20% margin, you are, and I can say this because you were that, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
you were that. You're a head count right? Which is companies use that a lot, right? What's your head count right now, and how many travelers are you up to, or whatever. I mean, it's a way to gauge success.
Sure.
But it's not always the most positive thing, right?
Absolutely.
It's not just a person working for you, right? Those you legitimately care about those people.
Absolutely.
And like I said, your one ace in the hole is you were that guy, right? You did work for those companies, and you did experience those. Your joint commission's coming up.
Yeah, our joint commission window starting September 3rd. It's something we're really stoked about. Just kind of, I know 1800 or Traveler Talk has been talking a lot about joint commission lately and stuff like that. Thomas Piper has been talking about it and making sure that your companies are certified and everything like that. And so we see the benefit of it, and that's a big reason why we're going after it. And also a lot of the hospitals really want you to have it. And so we're going to go after that.
And it's not like that you just ignored it for a year. Like Joint Commission says you have to be in business for a year before we even give you a window.
Yeah, and so many travelers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
I think we were probably when we got our certification, we were at, 15 to 20 travelers total. So, it was a process, but it was so worth it. I know your pain. I can feel it right now, right? I mean, there are hospitals that will absolutely refuse to work with you because you don't have that certification.
Right.
But then when you do, there is a whole world there of difference.
Exciting.
It's there. I promise you there is. And it will change like that overnight for you.
Really?
When you can call and say, because you're already calling and saying traveler-owned agency, right?
Absolutely.
Now you're a traveler-owned Joint Commission certified agency. And all of a sudden that voicemail doesn't get deleted, or that person takes your call when they wouldn't take your call before.
Sure.
So, and I know, we live in an age of, especially in our industry, of vendor managed systems, of managed service providers. It's just, it's where we are.
Right.
We have to live in the environment that we're in. And I think it will get easier for you as you start finding those contracts of those hospitals that aren't part of those as well.
Sure.
So talk to me about your family. Talk to me about Dallas. Like, do you want to long term in Dallas? Is that where you want to stay?
Yeah, I think so. My wife is from West Texas, so that's a good point for us. My family's in Kentucky, so we can fly in and out there. Kind of where we're at with family. Wife and I are going on 2 years of being married. We just found out that she's expecting, so
Congratulations.
15 weeks. So we're pretty excited.
For real?
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah,
I didn't even know that until right now. Congratulations, man.
Thanks.
That is cool.
So we're really, really excited. And she's actually taking a job in Fort Worth right now.
Cool.
So we have a lot of things up in the air. The business, moving, she's starting a new job. And she actually took a travel assignment a few weeks ago.
Really?
Long story short, she ended up not being able to go because they waited too long to credential her. But we were this close. I was gonna do a podcast and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, while I was up here, talk to you about her experience in traveling.
Sure.
But it just didn't work out. So it's kind of a bummer, but
Wow.
it worked out for what it was.
So I guess through all of this so far, 1 year in, coming up on your 1 year, right?
Yeah.
What has been the most difficult part? And if you needed help in that one area, what would that be?
Yeah. The one part is probably helping our recruiters grow and helping them serve our travelers better. One of the things I see a lot of travelers or recruiters on social media, and they get put down for for trying to help someone they want to go to St. Louis.
Sure.
Hey, I know that's your number one spot that you want to go, but ask them what's their second, what's their third, what's their fourth choice. And
Right.
Because St. Louis may not be open for ER. And so let's help serve them wherever else they want to go.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or they're Cubs fans and they wouldn't be cut dead in St. Louis. Maybe. I don't know. I'm just guessing here. You're right, though. It's about giving them that choice and opening up to, you never know until you ask.
Absolutely.
Right? You just never know.
Absolutely.
I think about, in my personal life or whatever, I may know exactly what I want, but there could be 2 or 3 options out there that if it's serviceable, if it
Yeah.
I'll do it, right? I mean, and that's anything in life.
Yeah.
And especially with a traveling career, traveling healthcare career, you have to be somewhat open.
Yeah, exactly.
The ones that aren't going to stick around long are
Yeah.
the ones that you see online that burned out, that said, I traveled for a while and it wasn't for me and I quit. And once you dig in a little bit, you realize they only wanted to go to Fort Lauderdale.
Right.
Well, there's not a whole lot of jobs in Fort Lauderdale,
Yeah.
right? But there's a whole lot of jobs in Georgia and maybe
Yeah,
and
Texas.
Louisiana and
Yeah.
Texas and whatever. And let's get out there and try something different. And you never know.
Absolutely.
You never know. One of the things that always stuck with me was, and I recruited for a bit before I was a client manager, was if you don't ask those questions and then you call that person back 2 or 3 or 4 weeks later or whatever, and maybe they wanted to go to St. Louis or whatever, and you call them back, hey, I finally got a job in St. Louis. I went to Washington.
What?
Well, I didn't know that. I didn't know you wanted to go there. Well,
Yeah.
you never asked.
Yeah.
Right?
Start with Why, Simon Sinek.
Absolutely.
Have to read it.
I have the book on my desk, right?
Nice.
I've reposted his videos before, right? There's a whole different, everyone has a different why.
Yep.
So what was yours?
Improving the industry, hands down. My first contract I actually got canceled from, and that was tough. In some aspects, I definitely feel like I should have been there, but I feel like my skills were oversold a little bit. It came down to basically a neuro case, and I had not had a whole lot of neuro, and they were like, "Oh, well, you can't do the case." I'm like, "Yeah, I said that even in the interview."
Right.
And they were like, "Yeah, you're done." And so, that's my big why.
To never put your travelers into that scenario.
Absolutely.
See, and that's, I believe that, and I believe now for a year you're going to be successful, and I know you're going to be successful because you have that background, right?
Nice.
It took a while, especially for us who, we built something, I think we built something pretty nice here.
Yes.
And but it has taken a long time.
Sure.
You have a fast track because you were one of them. You did it.
Yeah.
And you can talk to them. You can talk to other traveling, a traveling CST or an FA or even a nurse.
Yeah.
Especially an OR nurse, that I was there. I stood beside you and
Right.
I did this job. And I'm not going to put you into a scenario that's unsafe, right?
Absolutely.
Not that, we would tell you the same thing, obviously, and we would follow through on that.
Right.
But you were there. And that makes a difference.
For sure.
So, talk to me about hiring down in Dallas. Like, what's the toughest part about finding employees? Because just starting off, I remember us hiring. My goodness, it was hard. Like, it was tough, and we got lucky. We found some really good people, and there's a couple of them that are still with us. But it was tough.
Yeah, it's been one of our biggest struggles right now. I heard something on a podcast the other day, and it was brutally honest, and it was average and mediocre owners and managers get average and mediocre team members. And that is something I have been pushing for the last almost 2 years, is to just grow myself. That way I can bring in new team members and just have a really strong team. And I'm still struggling with that a little bit. But we're going through the cycle of bringing in some more recruiters now and stuff like that. And I feel like I have grown enough to see what I need to help serve our travelers.
Awesome. So I read this way early on, and I don't even know who. It might have been Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm not sure. A lot of the stuff I get from him, anyway. I don't know. I make no excuses for that at all. The dude has done something special, but it was hire, character, train skill.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So you can find somebody that may not have any idea that our industry even exists.
Yeah.
But if they've got the character to do it, if they legitimately want to take care of people.
Yep. I'm interviewing a guy right now. He works at Jimmy John's. He's a manager there, and he has served me well. God, I probably go to that Jimmy John's 3 or 4 times a month.
Yep.
And has served me well continuously. I was like, "Are you interested in leaving?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "What do you got?"
Yes.
And I would hire this guy tomorrow, and we're just kind of working out some kinks and stuff like that. But every time he's like, he greets me, "Hey Sam, how are you? Hey, still the same sandwich, right?" "Yes, sir." "Awesome, sir. I'll get it right to you."
Yep.
And I'm like, that's the kind of guy I want to help serve our travelers.
And he sees hundreds of people a day.
Yes.
And he remembers your name and he remembers your order.
Absolutely.
Don't discount that. There's something to that, right? I mean, we found that too. Some of our best employees maybe don't have that healthcare experience. Some of our best employees came from Enterprise Rent-A-Car.
Oh, that's cool.
I mean, they have a great training program. One dude I know who has moved up the ladder very quickly at a different agency came from Enterprise, right? Same sort of thing. Steve knew him.
Yeah.
And he came back a year later. It was like a year later. Maybe it was like 6 months later. Dude was still there. He's like, you need to change. And now he's the happiest he's ever been, right? So
that's cool.
He works for our friend down the street. I'm not going to say their name. You know who I'm talking about. I know you're watching. I'll see you in fantasy football. But same sort of thing, right? I mean, it's the same kind of thing. The dude had the character. You could train the skill.
Absolutely.
So that's it. So last question then. What's next? After Joint Commission, what's next for you?
You know, that's our big one. I haven't really gotten that far because that's where, like, I'm super tunnel visioned on that. Just kind of right now with it being around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've brought in some payroll people just recently. We have a credentialing person starting on Wednesday.
Awesome.
We have our new account manager, Brian. We have some recruiters in the pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we're just really, really focusing on bringing good quality people in the door. That way we can serve. And I know I keep saying that, but like that's truly what we're all about.
I feel like I repeat myself a lot, but it's just if you truly believe in it, you're going to say it over and over and over again. Right?
Absolutely.
And that's one thing I know. So you're very genuine when it comes to that, and I can see that. So
thanks,
Sam. I wish you the most luck. You know I'm here. I want to see you back here in a year.
Absolutely.
Let's do this again, man.
Awesome.
I would love, and I want, we talked about head count or whatever, man. I want to see you there. I know you're going to get there. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be a bitch, but I know you can do it. So
thanks, man. I much appreciate it.
I appreciate you coming. So did we have a Facebook post of the week? I don't think we had a Facebook post of the week. Oh well, we've just kind of let that one go. Oh well. I think that's Dolan's job. He's failed me twice now. So all right, we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.